There's an estimation of 500,000 child predators a day that are online. More than 50% of those child predators are going after kids from the age of 12 to 15. Well, if it freaked you out, why didn't you just block him?
I liked him. I thought he was like cool.
What, a 15-year-old?
This is your featured bout of the evening.
Stop.
Big one right Dustin Scrappy Lampross.
Dustin Scrappy Lampross is a professional MMA fighter out of Delray Beach, Florida, with a professional fighting record of 10 wins and 2 losses, and the co-founder of 561 Predator Catcher.
Here's how this goes, Josh. You know why you're here, we know why you're here, and we can have a conversation about this, or we can just go ahead and get law enforcement involved right now, and we can take it from there.
A South Florida-based group focused on stopping online child predators by identifying and confronting them when they attempt to meet minors for illicit sexual purposes.
There he goes. They're taking him away. Like, you think if there's 500,000 online active child predators a day, and think about it, technology these days and the way the world is, every kid has a tablet. You know what I mean? Everybody has access to the internet. There's enough right here.
I'm a good law-abiding citizen.
You're a good law-abiding citizen, but a kid tells you he's 14, you show up to have or to do oral. My goal is to get them to admit everything to me on camera. That is to expose them on the internet to the rest of the world. In court, that are not going to use my video. My goal is to break them down to where once the cops show up, they feel defeated. They feel like they've already admitted everything to me. So almost 8 times out of 10, they tell the cops everything.
What is it you think that prohibits us from being center stage, headlines in media, the priority of law enforcement agencies of our federal government?
I mean,
hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Resilience Show, and I am here in studio with Dustin Lampross, or AKA Scrappy.
Yes,
and if you guys don't know Scrappy, he's got a really solid professional MMA fighting career going. He's 10 wins, 2 losses. Spot on. You've been on, what's the biggest thing you've been on? Tough?
yeah, Ultimate Fighter season 29.
Yep.
Team Volk, baby.
Yeah. Yep. So and then on top of that, you run the 561 PC or Predator Catcher, which is what I love fighting, I love MMA, but that's mainly what I want to talk to you about today.
Yeah, that usually is the topic of conversation. Usually is the 561 PC.
Yeah,
more than the fighting.
If you guys hadn't looked at this, there's a number of people out there online doing this, and Scrappy's one of the leaders in this right now. I mean, has done just a phenomenal job of stopping, basically intervening where online sexual predators attempt to meet minors to have sex. I mean, they're meeting with the intent to have some kind of sexual encounter with a minor, and you guys go online and stop it. So,
yeah, exactly. We're the ones that interfere and we cut it off.
They think they're going to meet some young girl, and they run into you.
Yeah, they're coming to meet a young girl, a young boy, and then it's myself and my camera guy showing up, and
surprise. Yeah.
It's not what you thought, buddy.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna dive into that, but I definitely, before we dive into that, because that's where I want to spend most of our time talking. I want to know about your MMA career and what's going on with that now. Like, how did you start in martial arts? What got you down that path?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always one of the smallest guys on the football team, and it's kind of where I got my nickname Scrappy, was in football, and I was always getting in fights, always kind of getting pushed around, and I wouldn't take it, and there was one moment specifically, these 2 dudes way bigger than me, and they just kept bullying me. So I grabbed them both by the face mask and slung them around, and coach come up to me afterwards, and my dad said, "Man, your son's a little scrapper." And it was about 3 weeks later, we had a all-star game, and they made jerseys, custom jerseys, and they put Lil Scrappy on the back. And I wore it to school, and that was it. Everybody just started calling me Scrappy from then. And growing up, just having that athletic mentality, always I was just tough. I was drawn to kind of boxing. My dad had some mitts, and we'd always mess around in the kitchen, and he'd always say, look up some gyms, we'll swing by one. And one day, that's when I saw the Ultimate Fighter show. The first time I ever saw it on TV was 6th grade, and I was like, yo, this is cool. This, I want to try this. I don't want to box, I want to do this. And my mom lived in town, and I was at my mom's house one day, and this, fast forward, I'm in 8th grade, freshman year, and this kid walks in with a black eye, and my mom always had her front door open. I always had friends coming in and out, and my buddy that was in the neighborhood came up on my deck, and he was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he had a black eye. I'm like, "How'd you get that?" And he's like, "I've been training MMA at this gym." Instantly, I was like, "I gotta do it. I want to come do it." So I started training like twice a week, and they had a show at like a local bar called like the bar room brawl or something. And my 15th birthday was coming up. My dad's like, "Hey, do you want to go watch these kickboxing and MMA fights?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll get a little table for you and your friend." And it was like a week before that event, the guy that was selling the tickets to my dad just randomly asked him, "Do you know anybody that would want to compete or anything?" My dad's like, "Well, my son's been training for 6 months. This is why I'm bringing him here." And that was it. I had my first fight on my 15th birthday, and I had a couple more fights throughout high school. But I was more into sports, and it wasn't until I went to a church in Washington Park where I met Tyrone Woodley. And Tyrone was there, and he was like 7-8-0 in his career. Right around the time he was fighting like Paul Daly, and he introduced himself, and I was like instantly, as like a 17-year-old kid, was like, "Oh my gosh, Tyrone Woodley, this is the coolest thing ever." And he said, "Hey, after you're done with high school or whatever, if you want to come train, or whenever you want to come train, I'm have a gym open in a few months." And it was after my senior year, I got done playing football and baseball. My dad's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "Let's call that Tyrone guy and let's check his gym out." And that was it. I met Tyrone, and I started having my first amateur fights, started training under him, had my first amateur fights under him. That's kind of like what broke me into the world of MMA.
That's where you met Garrett, who we just had on the show.
Yeah, Garrett Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, great guy. Met him through Tyrone. Tyrone was managing him, and I lived near Garrett, so I was carpooling with Garrett, and me and Garrett became pretty close through Tyrone and the gym.
When did you turn pro?
I turned pro in 2018. I was 23 years old. Yeah, turned pro. I fought under Shamrock FC, and that first year I had 2 fights, went 2-0, and then I broke my hand, and I was out for 6 months. And then that was 2018, and then 2019 I fought again and went 5-0 there.
And you primarily knocking people out, like you're not.
Yeah.
You're not
First,
like-
yeah, I was getting all finishes. My first 4 fights were knockouts, and then my 5th one was a standing guillotine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So how tough come about the Ultimate Fighter show?
So right then I was 5-0, and that's when COVID hit, and it was kind of a bummer because I just got the 5-0, was healthy in a roll, and then Shamrock FC had to shut down the promotion I was signed with and fought for. Pretty much all promotions were kind of shut down. LFA kind of had a couple, so I was in this limbo phase, and then one of my good friends, an ex-UFC fighter, Charles McCarthy, Chainsaw McCarthy, I don't know if you know him, he fought on The Ultimate Fighter, and he did pretty well, and he made great connections, great friends with the producers. So when I was 5-0, I didn't have any management. He was kind of like looking after me, helping me out. He reached out, and that was kind of it. They kind of heard about me, and they said, "Yo, we want you on the show." Producer called me, said, "Hey, you're gonna be on the show the next season." And it was crazy because I was 5-0. I'm sitting there talking to Charles. I'm like, "What do we do?" And I was like, "Man, how cool would it be if the Ultimate?" Because originally, the Ultimate Fighter show was my biggest dream. I didn't even care about fighting in the UFC. Technically, just being on that show, I thought, being a kid watching it, I was like, I want to be in the house. I want to do that. And I brought it up to Charles McCarthy. I said, "Hey," I was like, "what are the chances they have a 135-pound weight class?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, they haven't." And at this time, they haven't filmed for 3 years. They stopped. They put the show on hold. He called me about 3 weeks later, and he's like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just leaving the gym." He's like, "You're never going to believe this." I go, "What?" And he's like, "Guess what's coming back?" And I said, "The Ultimate Fighter show." He said, "Yeah." And he goes, guess what weight class?" He said 135, 185. I was like, this is it. This is meant to be. Like, I'm 5-0, finishes, like 26 years old. This is my opportunity. And he said, "All right, let me see what I can do." And then it wasn't shortly after that I got the call saying, "Hey, we want you on the show. Don't fight. You're going to be on the show." So that's kind of how that went. And during that time, which was kind of a bummer, I had like an 18-month layoff waiting after I went 5-0 because of COVID. And then once I found out I was on the show, they didn't really want me to fight. They wanted me to, make sure I didn't get hurt or take a loss. So that's how that came about.
What's it like living? What was it like in the house?
It was cool. It's what I thought, because you know ahead of time there's no phones, no TVs, no music, no nothing. Uh, and it's exactly kind of what you imagine, a big empty mansion style house
Yeah.
where, you just pretty much are in there with 15 other guys and you just live life and train all day, and you get to have conversations with other guys from across the world, that you've maybe never had a chance of meeting someone from another country or a different state. So, you got to go in there and have some real deep conversations, and it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, one of my I coached Ricky Tercio since he was little, and he's
That he was my season. He won.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won the show, and Ricky was on my team, and it was kind of awkward with me and Ricky at first because I was fighting Vincent Murdoch, who was his teammate on the outside, like from Team Alpha Male. They were like brothers. Like, pretty sure Ricky held the camera while Vincent proposed, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So they were like this, but then Ricky was on my team on the show.
Yeah.
And then he was roommates with Vincent, so it was kind of weird at
Ricky's
first.
wild too.
And Ricky's wild, and he's a different individual in a great way.
Like,
Man,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, after that though, after that little weird moment, I mean, Ricky's one of the best, guys I met on the show, probably. So
he just sad the other night. He was, I think he made it all the way to weigh-ins.
man, and then
the guy,
and the kid passed out. Cameron Smith or Cameron Smotherland, I think.
Yeah.
Man, bless his heart. Hope he's all right.
Yeah,
That's tough. But yeah, man, I couldn't imagine getting all the way there. I mean, that's like the Michael Johnson and Alex Hernandez situation.
Yeah.
They both make weight, and then there's some betting scandal going on that they don't know about, that they're unaware, and the fight gets canceled. Can you imagine?
Oh man, yeah.
Out of your control. Tough.
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys were in the same season as Ricky, and
Yeah, so. Ricky's a good dude. No, that was a good season. Really cool. Team Volkanovski, Team Ortega, great experience.
Yeah, Ricky. I mean, he came up as a kid in our gym and just like went, was wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu and then striking. I've cornered all of his first fights, and he just like and then when I moved away, Alex Morano took him. He was started off as my student as well. And all those guys, man, they're crushing it. And
wow, what a small world. Yeah. Yep, I know exactly. Ricky's, what a beast.
Yeah.
What a beast. The kid's wild. I'll never forget the best moment of Ricky is when he come out versus Ludwig in the first round on the Tough Show, and he goes, he just like yells at him and stomp. It was so cool. Man, talk about a character.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, where are you at now in MMA?
So right now, thank God I'm coming off 2 weeks ago. Just picked up my 10th professional victory in the main event of Shamrock FC 372 with a leg kick TKO finish in the first round. Went great. It was definitely much needed. I went 9-0 in my pro career, and 9-0, 8 finishes, and I thought, I was right there, on the doorstep of the UFC, just kind of waiting, and unfortunately probably took some bad advice, and I waited almost 18 months to fight. I was putting it off, thinking that the UFC was going to sign me. I just thought I was kind of undeniable, in my head. Maybe that's why it all happened the way it happened. Maybe I needed to be humbled a little bit, but I thought 9-0, 8 finishes. I've got a good social media following. I go out and I fight. I finish fights. I don't wrestle, which they like to see. And that wasn't the case. I waited for so long, and then last March I decided to hop in, take a fight after 18 months, and it was a 5-round title fight at 35 for Shamrock, and I'm currently the 145 champion there, and I defended my belt, and so we thought, hey, let's go back to our natural weight class. Let's fight at 135, and man, I had a 5-round decision loss that really stung because, I know I was a lot better than the guy, and it was more of a lack of judgment on my part, my rehydration, my nutrition, which, for up-and-coming fighters, it's your rehydration, your nutrition, your sleep, all that stuff together is so much more important. It's almost more important than the training itself in a way, you know. And
gotta be optimal in health. And
yeah, and I was so excited, you know, main event, fighting to be 2 weight class champ, you know, and I sold out the place, had sponsors flying in, had all this going on, you know, so excited, and I just like wasn't putting back on the food, the nutrition. You know, I walked in the fight maybe 6 pounds heavier than I weighed in at, which is nowhere near what I'm used to doing, and I just didn't realize it. And you know, and after literally the first minute of the fight, even though I won the first round, I just held the kid down in a front headlock. I felt my body just kind of, I was like, whoa, hold on, what's going on? And, you know, that's why I had to fight 4 more rounds like that. And that's, you know, like I said, that's why I said I was better than the kid, because if the role would have been reversed, I would end up finishing him if he felt like how I felt, you know. And I went out there and I just felt, not taking anything away from his win, but, you know, that's why I was able to last 5 rounds like that. I mean, I'll give you a great perspective. I went 5 rounds, I threw 2 punches. Like, you know what I mean?
you're surviving.
Yeah, I was just surviving. And then unfortunately, we thought it was a carb thing. And so we turned around, we fought again. And I took another fight 3 months later. Not a title fight, but main event for Shamrock. And fought a pretty seasoned dude, good jiu-jitsu guy, black belt. And kind of same thing happened. First round, I went out there, almost knocked him out, had him wobbled, had him hurt, did what I wanted. It's clear, probably could have been a 10-8 round. And going into the second and third round, just instantly, boom, I'm like, what is going on? And let's mind you, I have a resting heart rate in the low 30s. Like, I have great conditioning, you know. I've never had a problem with my conditioning. So I'm thinking, what is going on? And I had this moment of like, this isn't right. I train too hard. I'm too dedicated, too disciplined, sacrificed my entire life. Something's not right. And then second, third round, I go out there and I'm exhausted. Guy shoots on me, instead of sprawling, I pull a guillotine just because I'm tired. I land on my back and I just don't get up, and I end up losing. So I'm 9-2, lose 2 decisions in a row. I'm lost, thinking, what is going on? Like, on the door of the UFC to not even there now, right? Because 9-2 is a great record, but in the UFC world,
No.
no.
Well,
you
now it's
know?
coming off of 2 losses.
Yeah, coming off 2 losses. So, man, I do some reevaluating, and I've been with a team for 7 years down there, Killcliff FC, and you know, great group of guys. Fortunately, I started realizing, you know, hey, I lose these 2 fights. I've been there for 7 years, and no one besides teammates reached out to me. No coaches. No one ever said anything. No one. I just lost 8 rounds of fighting. You know, basically like 2 decisions. So you would think someone would say, "Hey, what's going on? What happened after going 9-0? What's nothing?" You know. So I thought, and granted, you know, there's only 3 coaches there, 50 guys on the mat, all UFC big name star fighters. I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't the place for me anymore. Maybe this is way of God's trying to pull me out of this, put me in a new area. Because let's also mind you, in 11 pro fights, 10 pro fights, I've never had a coach in my corner. Never. Only teammates. You know, I trained at such big gyms my whole life. I'm not as important, I guess. I don't know. So anyways, I started thinking, I said, hey, you know what? Maybe this ain't the place for me. You know, maybe I need something different. Maybe this isn't, you know, because it's either that or I'm done fighting. Because
something's
got to change, because I can't be so dedicated, so disciplined, and you know, sacrifice my life to go out there and lose fights where these guys shouldn't be in the cage with me, and I'm going out there and beating myself. So I knew something needed to change, and I prayed on it, man. You know, I'm a big believer in God, and I prayed on it, and you know, kind of just honed in on it in my meditation and my devotions with God, and I ended up getting introduced to a guy named Daniel Mendez, who's a striking coach down there. And at the time, his gym was getting rebuilt, so they were sharing a gym with another team called MMA Science, or now they go by The Pack, with Roger Crawl and Troy Worthen. So I started going over there, training, and instantly. And Troy Worthen and Roger are people I knew of before this, but Troy was an old teammate at Killcliff, and he left kind of for the same reasons. So, you know, I knew him already, and I knew he was a great fighter. So I was like, you know what, let's go over there, let's train. So I started training with him, and instantly I made this connection with Troy, just like a, you know, fighter coach connection, where we were just on the same page with things.
Right.
And then yeah, I started training under him, and I was like, something's different. This is different. And I realized when I looked back at my training at Killcliff, there's a lot of things that, I was doing because, hey, Robbie Lawler's running the session, so it must be right. Nick Lentz, 30, 40 fight pro, big, must be right. Henry Hoof, best striking coach and one of the best kickboxers in the world. This is how they run training. This must be right. And then I realized, maybe it's not just because they're big names, and that's when I started realizing it when I started training with Troy that like, oh, this is a lot more sustainable, like on my body, like the way we're training. And then like 3 months of training there, I learned probably more in the past 3 months there than the past, 5 years over there. So that's when the light bulb clicked. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep training. I'm going to take another fight. And then that's when we scheduled this last fight. And I got a cool little testimony I want to share with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm ranting.
No.
But this is kind of what leads up to this.
I'm enjoying hearing this.
Yeah. So 2 weeks before this last fight, you have your last hard sparring session, right? Because 2 weeks out, you start to hone it down. I had my last hard sparring session, and I lost every round. In my head, I did. I didn't feel good. I felt flat, felt exhausted. What is going on, right? So those last 2 fights, I thought it was a carb thing. I'm thinking I didn't eat enough. That second fight I lost, I ate a bunch of food. I thought that was the issue. Come to find out, so I go to that sparring session. I feel terrible. I come home. I'm sitting on the couch by myself, and dude, I just start crying. I just start like I can't help it because I'm just feeling emotional, thinking I packed my car at 20 years old, moved away, chased my dreams in the UFC. And I get to 9-0, I lose 2 fights, and then I'm about to fight and take another fight, and I'm feeling the same way I felt in those last 2 fights. What is going on, God? So I start bawling my eyes. I'm literally crying. Tears are pouring down. I start praying. I'm just lifting up God. I'm saying, God, what? I'm like, Jesus, I need you. I'm like, I need you right now. I'm a believer, but I've never exactly had that moment where you hear people say, I heard God speaking to me. I've never had that. So I started praying on it. I said, God, I need help. I said, I need you to speak to me. If it's through friends, I always had like affirmations or like signs, right? Like always like had a brother in Christ. You kind of always talked about, I'm like, man, that's something I prayed about. So that's how I always felt like maybe God was working through others to reach me. So I started praying on it. And after I get done wiping my eyes and I'm sitting there, I get on my phone and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to figure this out too. I'm not going to just say, how some people just let God figure. I'm going to put some effort into figuring it out. So I started searching, like I put in my symptoms, like how I'm feeling. And all these results keep coming back with sodium. I'm like, this is weird. And then I started thinking about it and said, let me go check the stuff I put in my water every day. And I look and it only has 50 milligrams of sodium. And I'm like, hold up, that's not enough. And I'm like, wonder if this has been my issue. And I drink about 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of water a day. So I'm flushing through me, right? So I go to my cabinet.
You're flushing your sodium out.
Flushing my sodium out. Well, at the time, I'm starting to figure this out. I unload all the sea salt on a paper, and I put it in fold it up like a little funnel, and I put it in my gallon. The rest of my gallon, I drink it. That same night, that same day I had the terrible sparring session. I go back that same night with a teammate. We do bag rounds and like light sparring rounds, like 6, 7, 5-minute rounds. That same day, night and day. My arms are getting tired. My body's not feeling shaky. Exactly how it should feel. Cardio feels great. 32 resting heart rate should be right. I'm thinking, hold on. So I come home that night. I'm sitting on the couch with my girlfriend. I'm like, we're watching a Netflix movie, but I'm not even watching. I'm sitting there, keep looking at her because I'm like, yo, I figured it out.
Yeah.
So next morning I wake up Wednesday and pouring my heart out to God, doing my study, asking God, hey, if this is it, I need to know, God. I'm 2 weeks out. Please give me a sign. I specifically say, God, I need you to work through a brother in Christ. Because I repeat what I said what I said the day before. I've never honestly heard you, God, but I need you to give me a sign, work through a brother in Christ, something. Pray that prayer. I go to strength conditioning 20 minutes later. I walk in, I go to walk up, I go to open the door. As I go open the door, somebody opens it. And the guy that's standing there that opens it, his name's Josh Good. Shout out to Josh Good, a phenomenal human being. His whole life is devoted to bringing people to Christ. And this is the guy who prays for me every day, sends me Bible verses, calls me, checks on me. Just a really good brother in Christ. And he opens the door, and I'm getting goosebumps just saying this. He has a T-shirt on that is completely blank besides 4-letter salt on his shirt. I drop my stuff and I freak out. I don't freak out. I lose my breath. And I put my hands on my head like this. And he's like, Scrappy, what? What's up, brother? I was like, I can't make this up. I'm like, I'm like, this is crazy. First time I'm like, this is God. Like, what? I don't believe in coincidence.
Yeah.
What is the chance he's wearing a shirt that says salt? And I want to show you it too.
Salt.
Just
you got a picture
salt.
of it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got.
We'll put it up. We'll
Yeah.
put up one thing. Yeah.
So I start walking. I tell him. He's like, man, God, and he's such a simple. Because he's not surprised. He knows how God works. He goes, God is good, brother. He's like, wow. He said,
it's affirmation that God knew you needed to be able to walk into that match with the confidence to know this problem solved. I'm not going to get tired again.
And
feel like a monster.
30 minutes later, I'm talking to one of my best friends, one of my brothers, Evan Elders, UFC lightweight. We're talking, and he said, man, Scrappy, he goes, you're freaking me out right now. I said, why? He goes, I wanted to tell you, I just watched the video until 1 a.m. on what lack of sodium does to the body. And he goes, and dude, now thinking, he cornered me those 2 fights I lost. He's like, and now like thinking about it, he goes, dude, this is what it was. Like you were like, and when I go back and I think like that first fight, I only drank probably a quarter, half a gallon.
When you cut, did you water load to cut?
No, I mean, I drink a gallon and a half, 2 gallons a day. And then once I get closer, I start cutting out. And mind you, I have a nutritionist, Doug Coleman, amazing, probably one of the best nutritionists I think there is out there. You know, we got to 9-0, and he's always got me perfect on weight, feeling great. But mind you, we had that 18 months off, and then when I come back to take those fights, he gives me my protocol, but like he didn't question me on what I was putting in, and I switched up what I mixed in my water. So we didn't look at exactly what I was mixing in. So my BCAAs and electrolytes that I was using was not enough.
Yeah, and you're training so hard at it.
And then I'm in South Florida. You're sweating out. So all that stuff combined. And mind you, I also realized the past 2 years, I'm sweating more than I ever have. So I didn't realize all this. Evan tells me that. I'm freaking out. I come home. I tell my girlfriend. She goes, well, you remember 3 weeks ago or a week ago, you came back and said you had the best sparring. Because, you know, when I have a good session, I come home bragging to her, telling her, like, because that's my life. So I say, babe, like I had felt great today. I did this. I did that. She said, you told me you felt amazing. And I'm like, I did. And I remember I was shadow boxing between rounds. She goes, what did you eat before that? I said, my normal breakfast. And I'm a true professional. I stick to what I eat. I don't skip nothing. I don't cheat. I eat exactly the same thing. Like I eat what I'm supposed to eat. Well, we were 5 weeks out at the time, so it still wasn't that month to where I had nothing out of my diet. So I said, hey, and it was our anniversary, it was like one of our anniversaries. I said, let's go. She wanted to get pad thai. So we went and got some pad thai food that night before that sparring session. I felt great. And I ate so much pad thai noodles, miso soup, loaded with sodium.
Yeah.
So all these things start clicking. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
So I hit up Element. They send me a bunch of salt. Yeah. I start loading up on my sodium those last 2 weeks. Mind you, and excuses, whatever, people can say what they want. I know my heart. I know who I am. I know my integrity. I wasn't sleeping before those 2 fights, bet an hour, 2 hours a night. I was waking up at 3, freaking screaming, yelling at, like, my girlfriend would be like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't sleep. I got a fight in a week. I literally cannot sleep. I wasn't sleeping. As soon as I started loading up on my sodium, and I realized I was underdoing my sodium probably by 8 to 10,000 milligrams a day. Once I started loading up on it, I started sleeping. My weight even was going down, right? You would think it would be the opposite.
It's crazy, right? People say that, all the inflammation goes, they're talking about inflammation from salt and the weight goes up. Man, when I take, so I do LMNT and another one I do is Alt. It's here, I think it's Alt here in Texas. They real quality. Both of those are just real good products. But I do like 2 of those packs a day. And when I'm doing that consistently, my weight goes down. Like I don't get inflammation, my weight goes down.
I was mind blown. I'm like, hold on, I'm sleeping, my weight's going down. And then First time ever. Fight week, I do a light jog. That's it. I don't do much. I train Monday and Tuesday, fight week, hard, feeling great, doing right. I'm like, yo, this is. So when we talk about God needed to give me that confidence, hey, you can be confident. I never felt more confident, Chad. I went into that fight, and then not only that, having a first time ever a coach who was coaching me for the past 6 weeks leading up to the fight, training me specifically for this wrestler, this guy that I was fighting.
And then he's in your corner.
And he was in my corner. Everything you said, I mean, you guys can watch the fight. It was only 2 minutes long. Everything he said, I heard and I did it. It was like he was controlling a video game. And that was when because I prayed to God before I walked in that gym that day and saw the assault. I said, God, if you don't want me to fight anymore, shut the door on it. I don't want to do something that's not according to his will anymore. I'm done living for Scrappy. I'm done living for doing what I want to do, you know? So I prayed that, and I felt like that was that comfort. He's like, nah, I'm not done with you yet. You know, and I went out there and I got back to my winning ways, my finishing ways, and I felt exactly how I should felt. 2 minutes, leg kick finish. I didn't even have a bead of sweat. I worked out harder in the warm-up than I did. And man, I talk about a testimony I can share for the rest of my life. And I felt like it was more than just salt. And for my body, it was deeper than that. You know, both those fights going into it, I was ripped out of my mind. I looked like a model. And on the inside, I was dying. And I thought it clicked. I was like, man, this is so much more than fighting. You know, the outside appearance can look so great and everything can be, you know, but on the inside, it's not, you know, and that's where you got to fix that. It's on the inside, you know. So it was a cool, like, double edge, you know, testimony for me, like, kind of moment. Because my whole life I try to be perfect. You know, I always try to do everything to excellence. And I think that's been something that's, you know, faulty me. I got the 9-0. I didn't want to lose, so I didn't fight. I waited for the UFC. And then look, I waited. But yeah, man, pretty kind of full circle. So now, with all that said, 10-2, 9 finishes. And hopefully this year, 2026, is the year I can rack up some more. And Sean Shelby, sign me, my man. I got the following, which the UFC cares about. I got the fight presence. I strike. I finish. What more do you want?
I sent your little last fight over to Mick too. Mick Maynard. Mick Maynard's an awesome dude. For him. I know Sean manages your weight class. So yeah. So Sean's the guy.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Mick and Sean. And hey man, I'm dedicated my life. I'm sure as many fighters will say, and it would be a dream come true to get that opportunity again to put those UFC gloves on.
Hey guys, Shad Robusha here, former Marine, humanitarian, and host of The Resilient Show. And I want to talk to you about Goldco. I do not like to promote anything that I'm not a personal user of. And one of the things I'm really into and have been for a while is just preparing for anything that could go wrong, from natural disasters to security threats to the grid going down and financial instabilities, particularly in our financial markets. And so a long time ago, I made the decision to invest in precious metals, mainly gold and silver, because to have those tangible assets on hand makes you prepared and makes you resilient. And that's what the Resilient Show is all about: informing, educating, and equipping people to be resilient. And I partnered with the #1 precious metals company in the industry because I want to bring the right people not only to my own family dynamic, but make them available to you. If you're looking for gold and silver tangible on hand, then they're the place to go to. They have become an incredible partner, and they have special bonus offers that you can find if you go to chadlikesgold.com. You could get, if you buy with cash, you get 10% extra, a free gold or silver. You get your own safe at your house. For larger orders, you get a free home safe. There's tons of additional things you can get. So get equipped, be prepared, be resilient by going to chadlikesgold.com and get your tangible gold and silver today.
You know, what you've done in ring's been impressive, but to me, like, who you are outside the cage and who you are outside the ring, like, and also it's also what the UFC looks at. I mean, they want to build like stars, marketable stars, right? And you know, I think you're just an amazing human being. Obviously, you're a great talent, but you're an amazing human being outside the ring. You're a brother in Christ. You're just a great human being. But you give your time and talents and gifts and your passion and your heart to protect others through the 561 PC. I want to talk about two things. I want to get into how you started it, what you're doing, but I want everyone to understand the problem. You mentioned a number earlier of how many online child predators there are estimated.
Yeah, the estimation of an online of 500,000 child predators a day that are online. Yeah.
So
And more than 50% of those child predators are going after kids from the age of 12 to 15.
I have some stats that I pulled up. It says approximately 25% of people will experience childhood sexual abuse in their life. That's 1 in 4. I mean, if you're in a classroom of 30 kids, it's like 6 to 7 kids in that classroom will have experienced childhood sexual abuse. And the work we do at Mighty Oaks, oftentimes these veterans and warriors, they'll come in and expected them to talk about their trauma started in Afghanistan or Iraq, but they're like, no, they're like, when I was 6, when I was 7, when I was 12. That's where their story starts. 93% of victims under 18 know their abusers, which probably isn't in their online child predator, but that's still a crazy statistic. 1 in 4 kids report unwanted sexual solicitation online before turning 18. So, a quarter,
1 in 4.
1 in 4 children have been solicited online sexually. And they said the highest risk group is going to be 13 to 17-year-old kids. That's the highest risk group. Those sound kind of.
Yeah, that sounds very accurate. Yeah. I mean, like you think if there's 500,000 online active child predators a day, I mean, can you imagine how many, and think about it, technology these days and the way the world is, every kid has a tablet. You know what I mean? Everybody has access to the internet.
There's a digital connection point between a child predator and every kid in America. Pretty much every kid in America has a tablet or phone.
And I was about to say obviously, but I mean, it might not be obvious because obviously a lot of people don't know about it, but like more than not, a lot of these are through online games. Again, obviously, because I know this, so I think everyone knows. But like Roblox, that's like the biggest one right now. I just got a news reporter that just messaged me this morning, asked to do an interview on 2 Florida teen girls who got kidnapped from somebody off Roblox that they met up with.
Roblox a game.
Yeah, it's a game. I don't really know much about the game itself, but I know that there's a ton of online predators that are on that game specifically to target minors.
So when we talk, I guess there's 2 groups, right? There's one groups that are like child traffickers that are actually trying to kidnap and abduct kids through this, and the other group is just some everyday child pervert pedophile that's looking to just on an individual basis to have sex with a kid.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's really 2 groups you look.
Yeah, there's 2. I mean, but they're all in reality, they're all the same because like these people that we catch, we don't know their intentions. We don't know what they have planned. Oh, I just want to hang out. Oh, I just want to get food. Oh, I want to, have sex or whatever they say. But what happens if, that individual freaks out during that encounter and something happens and they end up doing something because they panic, like the predator per se. Like, what if they panic? Because then now the kid that they met offline is saying, actually, this isn't what I want to do.
I'm going to go tell my mom.
Or whatever, yeah. And then
tell my dad.
So there are groups of it, but in reality, they're all the same, right? Like because we don't know that, and that's why I confront these people, because we don't know what their intentions are. They could be sex trafficking, we caught a woman once that wanted to bring the girl back to a hotel with another man. What does that sound like to you? Trafficking, we don't know. She just said, oh, we want to have fun and have a threesome, but who knows, So, yeah, I mean, in the reality of it all, you never know what these people's intentions are.
What inspired you? Was there an event or something you saw, or what inspired you to get into this?
So I kind of the backtrack, I was 7-0 as a pro in my fighting career. And after that 7th win, I kind of felt empty, kind of felt flat, felt like that this doesn't feel as rewarding as I thought. I don't know, I felt this like maybe there's something more for me. Maybe more, there's more than just being this fighter and scrappy. And at that time, I kind of was in and out of my relationship with God, and I knew I needed something. So I started praying again. And I said, God, this ain't what you want from me. Again, I prayed that. I said, shut the door on it. But if it is, cool. But I just know there's something more. So I ended up meeting an individual named Ryan Montgomery. And
Awesome, dude, man.
yeah, shout out to Ryan, great guy. And him and I met up. We met, became friends. We were hanging out one day, and he just casually brought up something about, at the time, uh, he wasn't with no nonprofit organizations or anything. So he had his own software, his own, capabilities of finding individuals. So there's other catcher groups like what I do now out there that would hit him up for, hey, can you try to find who this guy is, And Ryan brought it to my attention, long story short, and said, yeah, dude. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, Chris Hansen. And I was like, yeah, no, Chris Hansen. He goes, well, there's groups like this. I didn't know there was people, civilians in the world that were going around trying to catch these individuals. And here I am, just a pro fighter. All I do is train, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's crazy. And as he's telling me it, I'm thinking about one of my childhood best friends, who, come to find out, ended up, and it's hard for me to talk about because it's unfortunate. He's like a brother to me, and I don't want to say his name for his privacy, but he told me that he was sexually assaulted by our principal, and our principal ended up killing himself, and he took his own life. And after he did that, all these John Doe cases came out of people coming forward trying to, minors hiding their identity, but coming forward saying he sexually assaulted me, he raped me, whatever. So my best friend was one of them. And, we're talking about a kid who's straight A student, great kid, athlete, the whole 9 yards, beautiful smile, like good looking kid, and he ended up suing the school, got a big settlement, but it ruined his life,
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking because the kid went from having the most potential in the world to just being, just fell off. I don't to put it, it's drugs, everything else, and I've always known that. And my late mother, she's gone now, but she always told me a story how when she was 13, how she got sexually assaulted. And so when Ryan was sitting there telling me these things, I instantly go to that. Like it kind of hit. I'm
That's
thinking,
what's your personal.
yeah, I'm like, man, my mom always told me how when she was 13, she was a victim of a child predator, and then, my childhood best friend as well. So I'm like, it's hit me as he's showing me this, and I said, dude, we got to do something about it. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm in. He's like, well, he said he always wanted to do it too, but he never had anybody that would take it serious. So as soon as I said that, he's like, well, we got to take this serious. If we do this, like, it isn't like a game. It isn't just for like, oh, let's make a video, whatever. So I'm in. So then it wasn't 2 days after that, we caught our first online child predator. And yeah, that's how 561 PC came about.
Yeah, now he does like he's
with some nonprofits. He's working with organizations that they're nonprofit organizations that work alongside, I think, law enforcement.
Right.
And yeah, it once we started doing it, and mind you, we did it for probably 3 months. We never posted videos. We just kind of were doing it and turning the evidence in. And it wasn't until, we got on a bunch of podcasts, and he kind of mentioned how he got involved, and a clip went viral. And from that point, he got, approached by some big organizations that were doing some really great things on a way larger scale. And Ryan's skill set is so, if you guys know who Ryan is,
dude, yeah.
he's just so intelligent. And pretty much he was holding the camera for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when he got approached from these people, they basically said, hey, we could use your skill set on a much larger scale. But if you were to do that, you can't do vigilante work. So, he came to me and he said, hey man, I'm getting offered to, work alongside this nonprofit group. And I think it would be for the better good, and instantly, obviously I was a little bummed, as my partner, my man, but it was bigger than me, right? Bigger than 561. We're talking about, him going across the country, pulling kids out of shipping containers type thing, like on a way larger scale. So yeah, he kind of broke off because legally work with those nonprofits, he just couldn't be a part of a vigilante group. And so he went along doing that, and then that's when I kind of just started carrying on 561 PC by myself.
You mentioned a vigilante group. What are the different types of efforts into this? Would you consider yourself a vigilante group?
I mean, I didn't even know what that word meant until people started calling me that and are saying they're vigilantes. And I mean, I don't know. I guess it just depends on your definition of a vigilante, because I mean, I'm not out there slaying these guys and putting them down like what you would think a vigilante is, right? But no, man,
you're just intervening.
I'm just a guy who's in a position that is confident enough to approach and confront these individuals, and so that's kind of how I look at it. I don't consider myself a vigilante.
Now it's how's the whole thing? I mean, this happens really easily, right? I mean, you can find someone, unfortunately, with 500,000 predators out there. It's pretty easy to find someone.
Yeah, I mean, generally, it's pretty easy. I mean, it could be super easy, and it could be super long too, right? So we could create an account right now, throw it up there, and we get messages, boom, boom. It's that quick. Now, the process of them coming to meet up is a different story. Now, there's times where it could be an hour. They can contact the minor on the internet within an hour, already cross the line with sexual intent, with a plan, and ask them to meet up, and we can go and catch the individual. Or they could draw it out and talk for weeks or months. So it's not always super quick, but yeah, to get someone to start messaging is super quick.
Yeah, we were sitting in Florida. I was speaking at 1122 at Joby Martin's church, and we were at a table with probably not the kind of people that would want a predator would want to meet up with. Our table was stacked.
Yeah, talk about a stacked table. Yeah, that was not a table that you would want to walk up to you. And we were hoping that we had something then.
But yeah, the whole time we were eating, you're
checking
with this dude.
Yeah, I had a decoy that was decoying for me out there. Yeah, because I don't do the decoying personally. There's groups out there like PvP, PCI, OPI, New York Pred Hunters.
So you work with the decoys?
Yeah. So my group with 561 PC, we don't have an individual decoy right now. That's something we need. So if you're interested, holler. But yeah, so there's groups that are out there that do catches themselves and they decoy for themselves, right? And I personally don't have the time to sit there all day. As a fighter, it's a nonstop training schedule, sleep schedule, everything. So I don't have the time to sit there and invest to talk to these guys. So, by the grace of God, I've had other groups reach out that have reached out to me and have offered, hey, we can decoy for you, So that's kind of how that goes. So
and then you do the intervention or
yes,
the intervention.
I'm the guy that confronts them. So they'll do the talking. They'll set up the catch. They'll call me, give me the chat logs. They'll tell me the time and place, and that's when I show up with my buddy, Christian Smith. He's my camera guy. Who's you couldn't ask for a better guy to have on your team. I mean, on the drop of a bucket, the guy's there. He'll leave work just to come catch with me. That's the type of individual you need. So because of him, I'm able to have someone with me at all times. So big shout out to Chris. And these other groups, when we first started, there's a girl named Tcoy the Decoy. That's what she does full time, is decoy. Courtney Elizabeth. And then, like I said, PvP, OPI, PCI, New York Pred Hunters. These other groups who decoy for themselves have blessed me with the opportunity to decoy for myself, and so I could go out there and get these catches in South Florida.
Can you give the whole scenario from top to bottom, like from initiating to actual catch?
Yeah. So our decoys will have accounts on different chat sites and different dating apps. I don't want to give those away. So but dating sites, chat sites, anything
But to me, man, I'm not saying give it away, but to me, them hearing this should be a deterrent.
True. So I could say, Meet Me, I mean, even like Tinder, Bumble, any of those, anything that's a dating site, right? Chat sites. There's an app called Kick. So yeah,
what you're doing should be a deterrent, right? FO,
I guess so.
FO, right? Like,
I guess so. You're right. Yeah. So all these, any dating site, chat sites, and like we said before, games. Parents need to really be on top of the games. But for us though, we catch them off the dating sites. So our decoy will throw an account out there, and they'll have these accounts say, let's say, meet me, and it'll have the age, and even Grinder. Grinder's a one because we have boy decoys, and that's probably the biggest problem is with them. Or at least they're the fastest ones because on Grinder it's like a hookup site, so those catches can happen quick. But they'll say they put an account on there, and they don't ever message the predator first. They won't ever message people, right? They'll wait till they get a message, and the person will message and say, hey, what's up, how are you? And then instantly the decoy pretty much will give them their phone number to get them on text. And then once they start texting, that's when the decoys say, hey, how old are you? They'll say, oh, I'm 38, 40, 50, 60, whatever age they are. And then they'll say, how old are you? And that's when the decoy will say, I hope you don't get mad, but I'm only 14 years old. I'm only 13 years old. I'm only whatever age a decoy wants to use. And then from that point, that's when it takes a good human, a good individual to go, hold up a second. 14, you shouldn't be on here. Either block them or say that and then block them or report it. So from there, they'll either carry on the conversation or they won't. And sometimes
if they don't, then
they're good.
Yeah,
but
good.
sometimes those same people who say, oh my God, you shouldn't be on here. What are you doing? Our decoy will say, okay, don't talk to me then. 2 days will go by and that same person will respond and say, so what's up? How's it going? And they just completely act like, oh, nothing. And then they talk casual. And then it'll be days later, they start talking sexual, So it could go that way, or they could say, I'm 14, and they'd say, cool, I'm 50, whatever. And they might, a lot of times, I would say more times than not, when they drop the age, they kind of pretend like, oh, I shouldn't be talking to you, or this isn't good, or why are you on here? They act like they're concerned, but they're not. They're if you're responding back, like I think if either of us message someone online on a dating site and they said I'm 14, our first thing would be like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
block. Not even a conversation, block. Or so for them to even have a communication with what they think is a 14-year-old is totally wrong. So they'll carry on the conversation, and then it isn't until we don't approach them unless it's a different circumstance. We don't approach them unless they set a plan with our decoy, like saying, hey, I'll pick you up and we'll go and do X, Y, Z. So they set a plan, and in that plan, it has sexual intent. So yeah, when we meet up, I want you to perform oral sex. I want to do this. I want to have sex in the car. We can do drugs and do, smoke weed or do whatever and do this. So once they set a plan up, that's when we'll agree to meet up and say, okay. And then for us, we just did a sting house. Actually, this past weekend with New York Pet Hunters, we caught 3 predators in 24 hours. And that was the first time we did a sting house. But for 561 PC, we generally just catch them in public. So
Is that feel like it's safer for you guys?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think it's a little safer. I know some people look at it as it's dangerous for the public because what happens if the guy freaks out while he's in the store and whatever. I personally think it's a case-by-case situation. I think how I handle it, how I walk up and approach these individuals in such a professional way, in a calm way, is kind of sets the tone, and that's why I've never had any issues.
I've seen you do it. It's very impressive. By the way, I was blown away at how impressive you are dealing with, because you have to be pissed, like that you're encountering a guy that was just gonna have sex with a child. Like for me, like there's a primal like part of me that like wants to probably bite this guy's lips.
Can't even put in words.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're so calm and you handle it so well.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I think that comes along with when I was 21, I was a bouncer at a nightclub at the front door with 5 other guys that were 6'7" and above, and then there's me, and I learned how to control drunk people and calm them down, right, and learn how to like talk to them and talk the fight out of it, like, hey, let's de-escalate the situation. So I think that, in a combination of, as being a professional fighter, one thing that makes a professional is being calm in chaos.
Yeah, you're composed.
Yeah, in chaos. And I think that's, a very, very, very important skill to have when a chaotic situation is going on, being able to control the situation. And I put all those skills that I have from, working there, being a fighter, and I put it into the bread catching. So as I'm approaching these guys, of course, I'd love to just knock their teeth out, but I know the ending goal. I know the result we want. And I want these guys in handcuffs, charged and convicted. So, yeah, so to go back, so they'll set up the catch once they cross the line with sexual intent. And that's when they'll tell them, hey, meet at this store, meet in this aisle. And once they do, sometimes we'll get them to send we call it a verification photo, like they're there, like a selfie in front of the store or a picture. So it shows, hey, they're in there, or we'll sit in the parking lot and wait and we'll watch them walk in. So as soon as I see them walk in, I call 911 instantly. Right. A lot of people don't like this. When I say a lot of people, my supporters, they want more conversation. They want more time with me talking to them, but they got to realize the ending goal is getting them arrested, getting the cops there. What good does it do if I talk to them and they leave before the cops get there? Doesn't really help, right?
So the reason you're calling 911 is because you didn't like set them up with the cops, like you're.
No, you don't. So we can't have any contact before with law enforcement, right? That'd be like us working with law enforcement, and we're not cops, so we can't do that. A defense attorney would eat that up. When I do depositions all the time. They try to hammer me from every way, to paint their predator client that they're getting paid to defend,
which is disgusting,
mind blowing to me, and that's a whole nother story. They worry about how much money I'm making from it than the actual issue. So, but yeah, so these guys will show up. I'll call 911. I'll give them all the info. I have all the guys' info or whatever I have. I let them know. And as soon as I make that call, that's when I go in. I go in and I approach them and I say, hey, listen, I work with the organization that monitors online activity between minors and adults. And we came across some chat logs that are very disturbing. And I personally don't think you're a bad guy. I looked into you. I just say this, right? This is part of the skills of calming the situation down, making them feel a little comfortable. Because what's the goal? The goal is to get them to open up, get them to sit there long enough until the cops show up, get them to talk and admit everything. So I say, listen, I looked into you. I don't think you're a bad guy. Maybe this was some mistake, online banter. And if it is, we won't have a problem here. And I don't want to get law enforcement involved, but I need to go through here and make sure you're not a threat to children. If you're not a threat to children, we don't have a problem here. I say that, instantly they kind of just, okay, yeah, we can talk. And they kind of just open up. And then I just talk to them. I said, what are we doing here? Right? I'm like, what are you doing here right now? Oh, and they lie. And I say, really? Okay. I said, listen, what did I just say? We need honesty, right? Because I don't want to have to get law enforcement involved. That's not my goal here, is to get people in trouble. My goal is to protect children. So I'm going to ask you again, what? And then they start to open up and say, oh, I came here to meet somebody. How old was that person? Oh, they were 18. They sit on the app, or 21. I said, no. Because it doesn't matter what the app says. The app can say they're 21. But when you start messaging and they say in Florida statute, which a lot of the statutes in all the states, under your knowledge, so how old did the individual tell you? 16. Okay. I'll give you one more shot. We're going to try to get the honesty out of you. How old? Remember, I have from top to bottom chat logs. Okay, they were 14 or 13. So, all right, thank you. All right. So, do you think it's appropriate to be talking to? And I just carry on, and I have bullet points, things that I hit. I go through the chat logs. Oh, what did you? Oh, nothing sexual. I said nothing sexual. Okay, so what's it say right here? I want to. That's when they're starting to like, okay. And my whole goal, the whole mission right there, and as much as everyone comments, says, hey, I want you to beat them up, smack them, do whatever, it's not realistic, right? That's not our goal. My goal is to get them to admit everything to me on camera. That is to expose them on the internet to the rest of the world. Because in court, they're not going to use my video. My goal is to break them down to where once the cops show up, they feel defeated. They feel like they've already admitted everything to me. So they aren't going to sit in front of me and tell the cops something different. So almost 8 times out of 10, they tell the cops everything. They submit it all right then and there. And then that's kind of how it goes. And then we turn over the evidence to them. And yeah, then it's the state attorney. It's up to the state attorney from that point on to make the decision on if this is a case or not.
Usually, what are you giving the police officers in that moment that gives them the probable cause for arrest?
Right. So we have a Google Drive file that has beginning top of the chat logs or the beginning chat logs to the end, top to bottom, and they're all together perfectly in order, all the information, everything we have. And then our decoy will be the one who sends it to law enforcement. They'll send it to the link they send, and they upload the evidence. The typical, the standard route it goes is that they get the evidence, they look through the evidence on scene.
That's to say the patrol officer on scene, right?
Yeah. So say on scene, they don't arrest him then and there, and now we're learning in best case is they don't arrest on scene, because when you arrest on scene, you have 48-hour window to gather everything to get the charges filed. So when you don't arrest on scene, they just seize their devices. They take their phone, they take anything that's a device, and then they say, hey, we're seizing this, we're doing a search warrant on this. So then once they get the search warrant for the phone, they go through and they dump their phone. They match their phone with our evidence. And once it's matched, they send it off to the state. That's when the state will send out an arrest warrant for them.
They're done.
And they're done. And I've been doing it for 4 years. It never really goes to trial. These guys usually plead out, and standard, I'm sure you're going to ask, the standard sentence is a couple years, 2 to 3 years. Most of these guys, if it's not their first time. But repeat offenders, we have had people, we had an individual who got 9 years. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of
what is a typical charge for?
Wrongful use of a two-way communication device and traveling to meet a minor. And then because most of my decoys all my decoys are out of state, there's a couple of charges that can't stick because they're not in state line. But yeah, that's the two that we get most often. And yeah, and at first it didn't happen that quick, man. We Ryan and I, we did it for like little less, or around a year, and we weren't getting nowhere, no charges, no nothing. Everything was getting let go, and it was just because law enforcement didn't know how to handle it. They didn't even know what they were doing. They've never seen cases like this. They've never seen it in our area. So it took, and shout out to the supporters of 561PC. It took them putting the law enforcement's feet to the fire, pressing the issue, emailing them, sending mail to them, like saying, hey, these guys are catching criminals in our area, and what are you guys doing? And finally, law enforcement said, hey, we got to start taking these serious. Yeah. So, eventually.
I mean, what do you do? Wait till somebody actually goes through with it before you?
Right. Yeah. And, like, how long do you wait until it's your kid, right? Yeah. Until it's someone you know. So finally, after doing it for, so long, then we started seeing guys get arrested. And we're like, hold up. And it's been a blessing, man. I mean, now we're coming into like 5 or 6 convictions. We're getting guys convicted out of all the catches we've done, and it's a blessing, and it's a slow process. Like when I get back to Florida, I got 5 or 6 depositions from cases over a year and a half ago. Like that's how long this takes.
Do you have, what's the take from law? Police officers are all different, right? You have some that's going to be like, oh man, this is awesome. Great job. Like high five. You have others that probably are like, oh man, this guy out here, like a pain in my butt, like making me have to do something.
Right.
Like, how has your overall experience been with law enforcement?
Overall, awesome. Shout out to Delray Beach. Shout out to Boynton Beach. Overall, great. Now, is there some individuals that are the bad apple in the group that get annoyed or almost treat us worse than, of course. And like Boynton Beach specifically, there's an incident and one of the main detectives called me and said, hey, I just want to let you know we apologize for how those officers handled this. They didn't, they're new. They didn't know, X, Y, and Z.
Almost like you were out doing something wrong, right?
Right. Like trying to make trespassing us from places. I'm like, I caught we don't want to do in here. I'm like, what? You don't want to catch child predators? What are we saying here? Like, you're on camera, my guy. Like, what are you saying right now? But yeah, no, overall experience has been really great, man. And it's really cool. We've made such an impact, and this is the goal, right? We have made such an impact in South Florida. Police departments are getting retrained on this because of us. ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children, kind of saying, hey, we're funding you guys, but there's this guy out here doing it more than you guys. What's going on there? So almost sometimes it does get them upset because they're getting heat from the people that fund them.
Yeah.
Because we're out here doing it for free, But in all, it seems like we're getting really good cooperation, especially from the state attorney on the Palm Beach side. And yeah, I mean,
you say you're doing it for free, or you're a 501c3 nonprofit?
no, we're not a nonprofit. I never made it a nonprofit. In my opinion, one, I didn't know where this would go. I had no idea I had no idea how big this could get. I didn't realize anything. I didn't even know you could make money on YouTube. Like we were uploading stuff, and it wasn't until someone said, yo, I saw your video went viral. How much? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you can hit monetize. I'm like, what are you talking about? It wasn't even until then I knew that you can make money. I was like, oh my God, that's sick. And we were just doing this because it was the right thing to do. And I could do it. And I'm like, I'm in a position to do it. Well, let's do it. And no, like I do have a goal with it. I want to, obviously, as we know, my fighting career is very important to me too. And I've dedicated a lot to this, and I want to see where my fighting career goes this year. But in the future, I believe I will make it a nonprofit. And if that door opens and then I could, travel and do more with it, I just believe if I was to be a nonprofit, you got to be full in. I got to be committed. And I didn't want to go out there and become a nonprofit, take in large donations when it's not my full time thing right now. It's not where my head's at 24 hours a day. Like, I think something that this magnitude of a operation could be, I don't think it deserves, I don't think right now I deserve to make it a nonprofit. I think I need to wait until I have that time to commit to it. So yeah, right now it's not, but eventually I believe we will be.
Fair. In your confrontations, you say most of them you're able to talk down. Has there been times where guys just like right when you confront them, they bolt, like take off running, fight? Has there been anybody got physical?
Yeah. So yes, we've had multiple people run. Never had anyone try to fight me. I did have sometime this big Haitian guy. I got
Smack the camera, get the camera out.
Yeah, no, none of them touched the camera. I did have a feeling one time though, something was up, and he instantly turns around, starts walking, leaves the Walmart, starts going to his car. We're following him. I'm like, come on, man, just talk to us. We're standing behind him walking. He looks back and says, you better not follow me in my car. I got the feeling. I was like, something's not right. I told I was with the decoy at the time. I'm like, let's hang tight. Sure enough, he pulled a gun out, come across the hood of the car, comes walking in front. Start screaming, what I tell you, start cussing. He's holding the gun. We run back in Walmart, hide. The security at Walmart shut the doors, lock it. The people in the public kind of, and could that have been a bad situation for the public? Yeah. But he didn't come any closer. He went and got back in his car, sped off, took off. But that was the closest to anything. But no, I mean,
was that on camera?
Well, unfortunately, she was kind of shaky. We were nervous, and we didn't have a gimbal. It was kind of just a bad, we didn't really get that filmed. But yeah, that was kind of the closest altercation. But yeah, runners, yeah, we caught a teacher one time who was there to meet I'm not exaggerating, an 11-year-old.
This is a school teacher.
An 11-year-old. Books it, goes to his car, gets a run. I'm guessing here 2 to 4 weeks later, maybe a month or so later, 2 months later. I'm not exactly sure the timeline. I think it might have been a couple weeks. He gets caught in another state by another catcher. Like, and generally if you run, you're guilty. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we've had multiple people run.
I mean, when they run, you still turning everything over to the authorities.
Of course, yeah. No matter what, and shout out to Delray Beach and state attorney in West Palm. We've had individuals where they don't even show up, and we just turn it in, and they go out and arrest them. We've had individuals who show up for a second and leave, or leave before the cops get there, and we turn the evidence in, and they still go out and make the arrest. So, big shout out to Delray, because I know they go over and beyond to make that happen.
So I mean, you could probably tell, I don't even know how many stories you could tell in this, but what's a story that like sticks out to you most, disturbs you the most?
Well, they all disturb me. When people ask what's the worst guy you've ever caught, I can't put one above the other, a child predator is a child predator. Uh, One though that, man, just ones that are really disturbing though are the teachers. When I catch teachers, that's the worst. Caught a fourth grade teacher once. It's absolutely terrible. I think the one though that sticks out the most, I caught this rabbi. He goes by that he's a rabbi. He's a teacher. And this individual, man, just talking to the decoy like it's just another day. Like it was no different. Like completely fine. Wanting to, the stuff he was saying in the messages, just no holding back. No like thinking, not even saying like, oh, this could be a setup, like a lot of them do, and they still show up. He just no holding back, saying, when's your dad leave? Maybe we can take a shower together, maybe, and then we can do X, Y, and Z.
He's talking to
The decoy.
a boy or a girl?
Boy. Yeah, 14-year-old boy. And he's like a 60-something-year-old man. And one thing that was really disturbing was that he said that I think, was he made a joke about how he was coming straight from tutoring kids. I mean, that one to me was like, what? And then he's joking about it to the decoy. Ha ha ha, I'm teaching kids today that are about your age. My heart breaks because how many kids have been victims before? How many times has this guy, and he's a tutor too. He goes to people's houses. After I caught this guy, I had, not exaggerating, we'll say 10 people reach out and say, he's my son's tutor. He tutored my kid in my home. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I had dinner at this guy's house I knew something was off. I knew something. That to me was probably the one that just, oh man, it and he's a rabbi. He's someone that you're supposed to look up, someone that you're supposed to feel comfortable around, someone that you're supposed to be able to trust. And people have this guy in their homes. And he's out here tutoring kids and then trying to meet a 14-year-old boy for sex while his dad was gone at work. To me, that doesn't get any worse. I mean, the only other one I could speak of is we caught a retired cop, who the last 11 years of his law enforcement he was in charge of like the child sex crimes. And then here he was meeting a 14-year-old boy off the internet for sex. And then his son reached out to me and said, this ain't the first time my dad's been in a relationship with a 14-year-old. I've caught him before. He's a piece of, he's a POS. He's no good. Thank you for exposing him. This is just helping my mom more, and they're getting a divorce, or, they're whatever. So thank you so much. I mean, these are the people we trust. People that are supposed to be looking out for our kids that we think are like, hey, now that's a teacher. He's safe to be around. Now that's a cop. So if you ask me, them are the ones that stick out to me the most.
I seen your content on the rabbi, and that case is probably still pending.
Yeah, they almost all are. They take forever. It takes a long time. But yeah, and about him, he just was so, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be here. I'm sorry. He looked at me in my face and thanked me for catching him. Yeah, I could tell you, I mean, I've had a predator call the cops on himself, said, I'll turn myself in, call the cops. You name it, there's just so many different incidences and how these catches play out.
Yeah. It is. Sean Ryan just went on friends with Sean Ryan, he's been on this show. I've been on his, and I know Ryan's been on his show. And
yeah, Sean Ryan, bring me on, brother.
Well, this is something that he's very passionate about. He just got on recently, and he just went on a kind of tirade rant, which he should, because it's such an epidemic in our country, but yet it doesn't seem like it's being addressed for at the level it should be. I mean, there's no more vulnerable group of people in on the planet. Well, for me, I'm a big proponent of the fight for life. I just spoke at the March for Life event. Our unborn can't pretend to defend themselves, but next to our unborn, right, is our children. And like, why is our government not making this such a priority when it is child sex trafficking, just the sexual exploitation of children? Yeah. What? Yeah, exactly. What is it you think that prohibits us from being center stage, headlines in media, the priority of law enforcement agencies of our federal government?
I mean, why isn't Joe Rogan having talks about this on his podcast, right? It seems like, and I ain't saying about Joe, but I'm just saying, like, when I think about it, like you're saying, why isn't this the main subject? Sean Ryan just covered it. You cover it. I think at the top, the elite of the elite, in my opinion, I mean, I think it's about money. I think that's because there's got to be a boatload of money in sex trafficking, right? And in the child, and as far as like children exploitation and everything, like, I don't know, because maybe the higher ups, you want what you can't have when you get
somebody's involved in something too, right? Even if you're not like implicated in the, but if you've been part of that, then you're not gonna want to expose it.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. When these top people and these individuals have so much money and power, and they can have anything in the world, what is it that they can't have? You want what you can't have. You're not supposed to be able to have a child for your pleasure, right? So, in my opinion, that's why these, like, I think a lot of these individuals, like you said, are tied into it somehow. Like, they have their own demons in their closet, and they aren't just like, let's keep it hush hush. Why else? Why else? Anybody with a good heart and a good mind and a good soul and everything else, why isn't this the biggest? If this is the biggest problem in the world, the roadblock game, that's just kids every day are going missing from it or whatever, getting exploited from it. Why isn't it just the top headline on everything, right? Like you said, children are the future. And then, but for some reason, it's getting hushed.
I mean, almost 10 years now, we don't know who the victims of Epstein. We don't know who the perpetrators were. And I'll call every administration out on them. It doesn't matter who's in the who's in the White House, who's in the DOJ. Like, release the Epstein files. And I don't mean what went out this week. Like, zero redact. There's not one redaction that should be in there. The first 50 pages are all blacked out, redacted. Like, we deserve to know who is, and I don't care who is implicated. Like, we want to know who isn't, and we have a right to know. Our children have a right.
We do. And then, unfortunately, though, the people that pull the strings are the ones who, that's my name in there. We ain't showing that. Like, I mean, what else can it be? I mean, and then, the way the internet is, AI and like, we don't know. We don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless somebody that knows somebody that's connected. It's frustrating. And
how deep does it go? Right? Who's like? You ever see this? I see these things all the time. I don't know what's real and what's not, like you said. But you ever see the Nickelodeon logo?
And it's the
Have
island.
you seen that? And there's Epstein Island. You see this? Like,
yeah.
And then the Ellen show, right? Her backdrop like matches the island. Like, are they like bragging, or are they signaling, or are they like
dropping hints?
Like,
what is the point of it?
What's
and why?
The point of it?
And it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Like,
What's your thoughts on that? Like,
I mean, I believe it. I believe, like, I mean, you see the whole,
just like in your face
things with cartoons and everything else, how they have stuff in the future showing like, oh, this is the real meaning behind this. I mean, I believe it. I think, yeah, I seen the Nickelodeon Island image.
I think it's spiritual. You and I both Christians. I think it's spiritual. I think these people are evil, yes, but they're evil through mankind is through a spiritual influence that they've succumbed to, or given themselves into. And I believe there's nothing more harmful to the heart of God than to hurt His children. And the enemy knows that. When I say enemy, I mean the devil, Satan, like, knows that, and he uses weak, evil people to. He
uses the elite, the most powerful people, to harm the most vulnerable. And what you said, what God's most prized possession is children. And what better way to go against God than to go after them?
Yeah.
And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think, at the end of the day, we're never going to truly know. And I think the more you know, um, the more you realize you don't know. Like it's just an unending, oh, and then this comes out, then this comes out. But yeah, I don't know why it's not broadcasted. I don't know why it's not the top headline. Like go back to myself. Like I'm like thinking, man, what's a better person to be marketed in the UFC? A guy that catches child predators and to promote that. To me, I'm thinking you're wanting someone to promote, right? And obviously, it's not why I'm doing it. Like I do it regardless. I thought about quitting fighting, even like it wasn't even. But I'm in a position to have a platform like that. Like I would love to just be able to broadcast it, and you would think people would go, hold on, yes, dude, the country would get behind this guy. I mean, but now thinking on a larger scale, I don't know. That's why it's like I don't know. Saw Jelly Roll just came out that he's a musician. Come out at the Grammys and he had a Bible in his hand and he was talking like, Jesus saved my life. And every meme page is Jelly Roll's gonna get blackballed. He's getting blacklisted. He's gonna end up dead. And unfortunately, it's like that's scary to think about.
You could say Buddha, you could say Muhammad, you could say whatever, but you say Jesus and you're gonna get blackballed, right? Like which is crazy, right?
It's insane, and I think more than anything, my mission now is to use my platform to keep spreading this, keep showing how big of a problem. Like we said, 500,000 online active child predators a day
in America.
Yep.
In America,
in the country,
yeah. I mean, props to you. That's everyone, by the way, everyone listening. Like, if you have a platform of one, or how many people you have on Instagram?
Oh, I don't know, like 70 something thousand.
Yeah,
on
if
Instagram.
you have one person following you, or you have 70,000 people following you, you have a platform, and you use that platform for good, and whatever it is, and that's what you're doing. I mean, I think we have a responsibility when you have a platform, whether it's 1 or 70,000.
Yeah,
use it for good, man.
And for me, like I said, fighting and fulfilling, being scrappy, and it wasn't fulfilling. It didn't feel like that was rewarding enough. And man, I'll tell you what, there's no better feeling when I see the cops walk up on one of these child predators and they get what they deserve. That fulfillment right there is top notch.
And it's not just about the penalty on them. It's the intervention means every person you stop, you don't even know how many kids you've saved. Maybe saved their life, saved their dignity, saved their heart, their mind, their soul. I mean, with people that have experienced childhood sexual trauma, I can tell you from the work that I do at Mighty Oaks Foundation, it is a lifelong wound that they have, that they carry. Even when they find restoration, even when they find healing, it is something they carry with them forever. And so you're intervening that, you're protecting those children from that. You're doing amazing work, man.
I really appreciate it. And it's a team effort, man. I want to be able to do it with all the groups out there that have helped me, that I listed before. My partner Christian Smith. Without these, these groups, and him, and yeah, man, meeting Ryan and being able to be aware to this.
Yeah.
I believe it was a God sent thing. God was knocking on my heart, and I knew that there was something more for me. And I even pray on this. I say, God, if this isn't what you want me to do, you don't want me to do this, shut the door on 561 PC. I pray it every day because I want to do what God's will is. And I feel like there's no better fulfillment in life than following his plan.
Yeah, you've got to be. I mean, there's no better place to be in the center of his will. I want to talk about some current event news. But I mean, you're right. I don't know the facts on this, and so I don't want to make accusations. It is a topic that's being brought up. Andre Galvao, Atos. Have you followed this?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't heard this?
No. Fill me in.
So yeah. Oh man, if you go on, everybody, all the teams are leaving Atos right now. Some young girls have came out and said, and there's one that's gave a pretty in-depth statement that he's been grooming and I don't know the depth.
Yeah.
And I think he left the country, But all the Atos gyms are, if you go in today, they're like yesterday and today. They're basically we're no longer affiliated. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone's leaving, and it's some pretty strong allegations.
Yeah.
And so in the world where again, I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's not. Some very strong allegations, very consistent from multiple people. Girls that started with him at extremely young ages, all the way up to through adult. They're all kind of saying the same thing of the grooming, and so again, without convicting him, because I believe innocent until proven guilty, right? But we have a due process system. But without convicting on Galvao on this show, in the jiu-jitsu world, in the sports world, it's primarily male dominated.
Yeah,
and we have a lot of young girls that come in who want to learn how to defend themselves, and
Sure.
and they want to learn how to be part of a sport and do self-defense. They're not coming there to try to get sexually groomed by a man.
They're going there how to defend themselves from
that, right?
Yeah.
And so have you, being in gyms and stuff like that, have you seen that?
No, I mean, I personally haven't ever, thankfully, ever come across any individuals that are that way or any allegations or scandals like that. No, not myself, but I've heard of it. I've definitely heard of different stories of this guy inappropriately touching a student, and I get messages kind of all the time. People reaching out saying, hey, there's this instructor at this gym. Can you look into him? Can you do this? Can you do that? So, but myself, no, not personally.
Yeah. I mean, man, I just think, for the gym owners out there, for the, the black belts and the coaches and stuff like that, when these little girls come in, man, their parents are trusting you with them. They're, a lot of them, they don't even know what they need to be protected from. Like, I mean, we should immediately have like a dad, big brother, like sense of protection and duty over these little girls. And I mean, if anywhere they should feel safe, it should be in a place they're coming to learn how to be safe.
Yeah, that's crazy. They're here. Let's take my daughter here to learn how to defend herself and protect herself, and then the whole time now we got to worry if instructors are groomers themselves or predators themselves.
Yeah.
But how do you, and everyone, when I catch teachers, cop, you name it, a lot of times when I catch our teachers, everybody says, how didn't the school know about, like, how can you really test if someone's a predator? You can't really.
Right. They're going to be doing it in secret, right? Like that's one of the things I think, and like I said, all this, it seems like, man, it's like if you're on Instagram right now, when you hop off, you'll see like these schools are like making statements. But I don't think the Atos brand like should be. I mean, I definitely think the right thing to jump ship and disassociate yourself from the brand, but I don't think that means all those schools were bad schools. Not a bad team, right? It's one person, and likely they didn't know, right? If that's the case, if Galvao's guilty of this, they likely didn't know. I mean,
that's just that's the unfortunate reality of one bad apple can ruin the bunch,
right? Right.
So,
and I think they need to make statements and they need to disassociate themselves if it's what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if it was me, I would somehow contact all the students, and I would have someone that talks to them individually and saying, hey, sir, because maybe there's another instructor there or another one that's a sister school that, whatever. But I definitely think before shutting it all down, I would at least try to weave out the bad, but sometimes you got to do it like that. Make a statement, I guess.
Yeah, Atos, huge brand.
Yeah,
huge brand. This can impact a lot of people, man. My heart and prayers are out there for those, not only the girls that or the victims of this kind of thing, but even those who aren't, that like now, like they don't feel safe in their training in their gym, right? Like they're, these little girls hear this and they're like, oh, now they don't feel safe going to a place that they were going to learn how to be safe. Like, so I just, that's my heart and prayers are out to all these girls.
100%. Yeah, my girlfriend actually had a business idea. Maybe I'm ruining it for her if I say it, but no, I'm sure she'd love it. She wanted to make combat queens, like a gym that made girls comfortable, so where they could train, and then and obviously, should be pretty cool. It'd be a pretty cool concept, to be able to have like a women's only facility or something along those lines, so maybe they can feel a little bit more secured in knowing that. But then again, we're in a world where, I can't just pin it all on men.
Right.
There are on women,
Oh yeah.
and I've caught women before. Like I mentioned earlier, I caught that woman who wanted to bring a girl to a hotel room. So there are definitely women predators out there.
Mhm.
But obviously it's just not as high as the men.
Yeah. Wrap it up with this. This is the Resilient Show, leaving messages of resiliency. You've lived a resilient life, and you're bringing, making resilient communities by doing what you're doing through your work. But what are some just practical, like real quick, practical tips that parents could do to protect their children?
I'm not saying be a helicopter parent, but be a helicopter parent. Like, if your kid is not 18 years old and you're paying for a device that they use, look into that device. Go through it. Check it out. Have child protective security measures on it. They offer that now. I get asked that a lot, and
You can even get to where your part, like you can see the text on another device.
yeah, of
Like you could
course.
see, like you could get the text messages on another
Yeah,
device.
I just think I think parents more than anything, I'm not a parent yet, but I know that it's not rocket science, right? Like if your kid is in control of of a device that has access to the internet,
Mm.
uh, they're obviously open to a lot of information and a lot of stuff that can harm them. So it would be probably, the right thing to do is to monitor
Mm.
what they're looking at. Go through their phones, go through their tablets, go through their computers, and try to check. And like I said, I'm not a parent, and so I don't know if I have the right to say this, but be a parent, be involved in their life. A lot of the times these kids are rebellious kids who probably don't get attention from their parents, or whatever, want to disobey them or want to be rebellious because they don't have that relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. I've caught many predators that looked me in the face and said, I was just looking for someone that, whatever, and I met up with them online and then I didn't want to and I got raped. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think monitor your kids' stuff and be present in their life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Be a
right-
dad, be a mom.
be a dad, be a mom, love on them, make them to where they don't want to or feel the need to reach out to, people, strangers from the internet.
One of the things I've seen in I think 2 or 3 of the girls who were teenage girls at our jiu-jitsu gym, and their Instagram profile, at the bottom of it says content messages are monitored by parents.
Yeah,
Right there in the bio.
yeah,
It's like, man,
it's
I
smart.
was like, that's smart. That's a deterrent. Like,
And the biggest problem is, and I could leave it at this, like, not my kid, right? That's what they say. Not, they ain't gonna have my kid. No, not my kid would never do that. My kid, until it is your kid, until it is your neighbor's kid, until it is your friend's kid. I mean, it's like sex trafficking. You don't hear about it unless you see it on news, because you probably don't often hear about your friend's kid getting taken, right? God bless my brother Walt Harris, ex heavyweight in the UFC. His daughter, she was basically got kidnapped at gunpoint and then ended up getting murdered at 19 years old. And the guy was like someone who had charges of trafficking or kidnapping before, and he was out on bond, something crazy like that. And but up until that point, I never heard of it. I never thought of it. I never knew anything about it. And then it took me hearing one of my good friends' kids, so parents don't think it won't happen to your kid. Don't think, it'll never happen, because it can. So make that extra effort.
yeah, man, thanks so much for what you do. And I'm thankful for doing the show. I know the audience is. If you guys like this episode, guys, leave a comment for Scrappy in here. Like it, share it. We want this message beyond just the content of the episode. We want the message of what Scrappy's doing, and the awareness out there as far and wide as possible. So share this episode, share the reels, the trailer, and the actual episode. And bro, we got some amazing sponsors on the show that want to thank you for coming on. We're gonna hook you up with a Smith & Wesson J frame.
Yo,
Pray you never have to use it, but I want to
Yeah.
make sure that you're safe out there in the streets of Florida.
let's go. Awesome.
Catching these pedos, and we have some Gators eyewear. We have a razor rangefinder, a laser razors rangefinder by Vortex.
Okay,
So maybe
sick.
you could scan them and see how far they are away. Hey, this freaking creep is 300 yards away.
Okay, perfect.
We have Gators glasses. Silent. I don't know if you know what Silent is. Silent is a Faraday bag. Have you heard of Faraday bags before?
No.
So essentially, to be able to protect you from EMPs, like all your devices, like you have your phone in there to make sure no one can capture information off your phone. Just kind of the RFID on your
Ryan ain't gonna be able to
all
get
that
me.
stuff. Ryan's not gonna. Yeah, Ryan could not get your information off of us, right? So hopefully, no pedos buy these bags.
Yeah.
These are only going to good guys, but this is a sling bag, so we're gonna get you some silent gear. And our friends at BioPro. Have you heard of BioPro yet?
Yeah, I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
It's pretty popular in the MMA and jiu-jitsu space. So BioPro is a non-synthetic natural growth hormone, cleared by USADA, UFC, sells it in UFC stores. It's a
Awesome.
great product. And actually, they're out of Florida. So you got daytime, nighttime formula. And love to get you on. I'd love to put you in touch with Dustin, the CEO there. I know he'd love to work with you.
Yeah, awesome.
I mean, their product, there's a lot of guys at UFC that are using BioPro. It's super solid. I use it every day, every night for about 4 years now. So
Awesome.
It's
All right.
awesome.
I appreciate it. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we had great gifts, man, and we look forward to seeing how the episode does. I know it's gonna do great, man, and I want to get out there with you on one of these predator catches one day. We'll get some content from it.
No, we will. No, thank you for having me on. It's been a blast.
You bet, brother.
Thank you so much.
Hey, what's up, Brazilian family? I am so grateful for each of you who tune in every week to hear our episodes. We have such incredible guests and topics that I am passionate about, our team's passionate about, and we could not do it without you. So we're thankful for you. We love you. We appreciate you locking arms with us to be more informed, to become a more resilient community. And I want to invite you to become a tighter part of that community by joining us on Patreon. If you go to our show notes below, you can click the link and get dialed into our Patreon and get extra content weekly. You can join for $15 a month and get behind the scenes footage, get closer access to me. I have monthly Zooms that I'll be doing with some members of the community. And so we'd love to get more involved. Again, go below in the show notes and click the link and join today.